You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Subscribe to our channel for new story. Story titled Bluebeard. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a very wealthy gentleman named Bluebeard. He was known for his vast riches, his grand town and country houses, his gold and silver dishes, his rooms adorned with damask and silk, and his magnificent gilded carriages. However, despite his wealth, Bluebeard had a peculiar feature that made him frightful and repulsive to many. His beard was an unusual, vivid blue. This singular characteristic set him apart, making him the subject of many rumors and tales. In the same region lived a noblewoman with two beautiful daughters, named Anne and Eleanor. Bluebeard expressed a desire to marry one of them, leaving the choice to their mother. Both daughters, terrified of Bluebeard's peculiar appearance and the mysterious disappearances of his previous wives, declined his proposal. They each pretended to reject him out of respect for the other, but in truth, neither could bear the thought of marrying a man with a blue beard. In an attempt to win their favor, Bluebeard invited the noblewoman, her daughters, and their visiting friends to his country estate. They spent a week there, filled with endless parties, hunting, fishing, music, dancing, and feasting. Bluebeard spared no expense to impress his guests, hoping to change their minds with his generosity and hospitality. The youngest daughter, Eleanor, initially frightened by Bluebeard, began to see beyond his unusual appearance. She found him to be quite charming and agreeable. His conversations were witty, and his manners were impeccable. Slowly, she started to appreciate his kind gestures and the way he treated her and her family. Upon their return, she confided to her mother that she no longer minded marrying Bluebeard. Shortly thereafter, they were wed in a grand ceremony, attended by nobles and dignitaries from far and wide. A month after their wedding, Bluebeard informed his wife that he needed to attend to some business in the countryside. Before leaving, he entrusted her with the keys to all his rooms and treasures, allowing her to indulge in any way she pleased. However, he gave her strict instructions not to use a small key that opened a closet at the end of a long gallery on the ground floor, warning her of dire consequences if she disobeyed. As soon as Bluebeard departed, his wife's friends, eager to see her newfound wealth, flocked to her house. They marveled at the splendor of the rooms and the treasures they contained. Each room was more magnificent than the last, with tapestries from distant lands, furniture inlaid with precious stones, and chandeliers that sparkled like the stars. Amidst the admiration and praise, the bride's curiosity grew stronger. The forbidden closet became an obsession. She wondered what secrets it held. Unable to resist, she sneaked away to the forbidden closet. With a trembling hand, she inserted the key into the lock and opened the door. To her horror, she discovered the bodies of Bluebeard's previous wives, lying in a pool of blood. The room was dimly lit, and the air was thick with the stench of death. Overwhelmed with fear, she dropped the key, which became stained with blood. She quickly locked the door and tried to clean the key, but the blood remained, revealing her disobedience. Bluebeard returned unexpectedly, claiming his business had been resolved. The next morning, he demanded the keys. His wife, trembling with fear, handed them over. Noticing the blood-stained key, Bluebeard's suspicions were confirmed. He demanded to know how the blood had gotten there, and when she couldn't answer, he angrily declared that she must join the women in the closet. Desperate, she begged for time to pray, which Bluebeard reluctantly granted. She called her sister, Anne, and instructed her to watch for their brothers who had promised to visit that day. Anne climbed to the highest tower, scanning the horizon for any sign of their approach. As Bluebeard's wife pleaded for more time, Anne reported no sign of their brothers. Bluebeard, growing impatient, threatened immediate execution. He grabbed his scimitar, his eyes blazing with fury, and ordered her to prepare for her death. Just as he raised his scimitar to strike, Anne cried out that she saw two men on horseback approaching. Bluebeard's wife begged him to wait a moment longer. The men, who were indeed her brothers, galloped towards the house. Bluebeard, furious and unrelenting, prepared to strike his wife down. At the last moment, the brothers burst into the room, swords drawn. They charged at Bluebeard, who tried to flee but was swiftly caught. They plunged their swords into him, and he fell dead at their feet. His blood mingled with that of his victims, and the room that had held so much terror was finally silent. Bluebeard's wife, nearly fainting from the ordeal, was revived by her brothers. With Bluebeard's death, she inherited his immense fortune. She used part of it as a dowry for her sister Anne, who soon married a young gentleman who had long loved her. She also purchased commissions for her brothers in the king's army, securing their futures. In time, Bluebeard's widow remarried a kind and gentle man. Her new husband's loving treatment helped her forget the terrors she had endured. She lived happily ever after, free from the shadows of Bluebeard's dark secrets. The once feared Bluebeard became a cautionary tale told to children, reminding them of the dangers of unchecked curiosity and the virtues of bravery and family loyalty. The grand estate where so much had happened was eventually transformed into a place of joy and light, echoing with laughter and music, a stark contrast to its former gloom. And so, Bluebeard's widow and her family thrived, their lives forever changed by the trials they had overcome. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.